All right, Grasshoppers, my apologies. We're a little bit late today. It's not the great Mark Puttenvink's fault that we're a little late. But those of you that don't know him, this is Mark, the Bod Puttenvink. He's 90 years old, but he looks like he's, no, he's not. He's 65?
Yeah.
65 years young. Mark and I are very good friends now. We didn't know each other until mainly during the pandemic here. We knew of each other.
Yeah.
Mark is a trainer, strength coach with the New York Rangers, New England Patriots. He's got a company called Patriot Training Systems. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great.
Got the shirt on today?
Yeah. So this, let me just explain why I'm wearing this shirt. This morning, one of the guys I train is a Customs and Border Patrol agent, federal agent, and he gave me the shirt. And he was in New York for the funeral for the other day. I mean, there was literally thousands of
saw that picture,
law enforcement. He showed up with his whole unit, and he had, prior to being a federal agent with Customs and Border Patrol, he was 15, almost going on 16 years in the 4-4 precinct in the Bronx with the NYPD. So he has obviously some really strong connections, and most of his friends are still on the 4-4, which I used to train a whole bunch of those guys. And, it's a very tough occurrence, and let's hope we don't see the continuation of this kind of stuff.
And I saw some people that was reported in the newspaper that are calling for more violence against police officers, and then it's just ridiculous. Yeah.
I don't even know why we pay attention to those people, to be honest with you. We shouldn't even give them a minute, but we do.
Yeah, definitely. How was your weekend? Did you watch football yesterday?
Yeah, I did. I was kind of surprised with Kansas City there.
I know.
That last play where when he took them out of field goal rate, or I'm trying to remember now. Yeah.
Him and Andy Reid made some decisions that can look like, wow, they were lost. Yeah.
He even looked confused on the sideline.
Yeah, I know. And it was I thought in the first half, Mahomes. He was fantastic. But the second half, he just
incredible athlete. His father played for the Mets.
Yes, I heard that. Yeah.
He was a relief pitcher, and that's kind of shows its strength in his arm.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the Bengals, hey, is it true? Like 2 years ago, they only won 4 games.
Yeah,
so that's a good story. I mean,
Joe Burrow. I mean, they drafted him obviously for drafting a quarterback that high. Was he first overall pick?
I think he was a first overall. Right. Yeah.
So obviously that means your team is pretty bad, and now you go to where you're at now. Burrow was good, man. He really impressed me. Man. He's good.
Yeah. And the one guy that stood out to me on KC is the tight end, and I think I was thinking about this last night. Like all the great teams always had a great tight end. Yeah. The Giants of old had Mark Bavaro. He had Gronkowski in New England and Tampa. And then just in my mind, I'm thinking about all you can't really win without a really good tight end.
Yeah. So you're talking about Kelsey with Kansas City?
Kelsey, yeah. And then, of course, I don't know is the kid number 10 on Rams, is he a wideout or is he a tight end?
I don't know. I don't know them as much.
He's a big dude. He's a pretty big guy.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So you and I both believe a lot of the same stuff as far as diets, intermittent fasting, and everything. And a lot of people have cheat days in their diet. I don't necessarily have a cheat day. Do you? Or do you believe?
Yeah, I don't plan on it. So I don't say every Saturday is going to be a cheat day.
Right.
But I think it's all relative, Tom, because for you and I, a cheat day is not what a cheat day for some people are going to be. So here's for instance, last Saturday we had that outdoor tournament, the outdoor.
That gentleman contacted me too. He direct messaged me.
Oh, did he?
Yes. Yeah.
Huge Ranger fan.
Yeah.
Huge Rangers fan. Yeah. Which we have to be careful of because when we do stuff for the team, we're affiliated with the Devils, and there's still such a hatred there. It's incredible. But in any event, so I'm up there and I love pizza, but I don't eat it.
Yeah.
And they brought pizza, and I had like at least 2, maybe 3. I forgot 3 slices. So for me, that was like a cheat month. What I mean?
Yeah.
But on a weekend like Saturday, again, you just get into such a habit. I remember when I used to have to make weight.
Yeah.
And you make weight, and then you have your event, and you think, "Oh God, man, I can't wait to eat." And then you're like, just not really interested in it.
I know. Like now, for me, I had pizza a couple weeks ago too, and I haven't had it in a long time. And it almost makes you feel sick, like the greases. Because I think you're eating so healthy, right?
I think it didn't hit me up at the outdoor thing because it was kind of cold out and you're running around and you're burning calories. So you almost want a little fattiness in you.
Yeah.
And it happened to be really good pizza. So it's so disappointing when you do have that cheat day and you go, pizza really wasn't worth it, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's my personal definition of a cheat day. Again, is relative to what
our buddy Bill Nestrom here. He brings up an interesting point. He's calling it a reward day instead of a cheat day.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, sure. If you work really hard in the gym and you're eating correctly.
You know what? Don't you think though? Like I feel like I've gotten to the point with food. I don't look at food the same way I used to look at food.
Mm-hmm.
Like food was a source of comfort and joy, and like now I look at it that it's nourishment, right? Everything I put in my body goes in for a reason, right?
Yeah. So they say food is medicine. Let your food be your medicine, and that's very true too. Yeah. I think we're taught early on. If you did something good, you get candy.
Yeah.
If you're upset, they gave you candy.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're getting tonsils out, you could eat all the ice cream you want.
Yeah, it's true.
So we develop a real emotional attachment to food that really shouldn't be there. I mean, all the holidays, especially like growing up in my house, my mother was Italian. So, but like many ethnicities, it's all food. Holidays are food, particular foods. So we really develop that strong emotional attachment to food. And then to the point where, if you do get depressed, you're going to sit there pounding down chips and whatnot, because it does become an emotional crutch for sure.
Yeah, it is true, right? Like we do, even like watching TV, you get sucked into it's all food commercials and
yeah. You know what, Beth and I we watched an interesting documentary last night on Janet Jackson, and we started to count. And we both did counting the types of commercials that they played. Incredible amount of pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
Ridiculous amount, right? I didn't know we were so sick. And a lot of food. And it's funny. So all these bad food choices followed by the pharmaceuticals. Yeah. And if we could just figure out it's the bad food choices that lead us to these pharmaceuticals, we'd be better off.
So I did a little research on the pharmaceutical advertisements. It goes way back to the Ronald Reagan era, where used to be that the doctors ran pharmaceutical companies, and they did not want advertisements on. They weren't running the pharmaceutical company for profit. They were running them to make people healthy. That's that's kind of the logic. And then the business people started taking over the pharmaceutical companies. Then they lobbied, and I'm not blaming Ronald Reagan, but it was that era that they started lobbying for the right to have commercials, pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
What's that? Our dog?
The dog. Sophie, what? I'm on with Tommy here. Leave me alone.
What does she want? Is it
I don't know. She just gets jealous, maybe. I'm not paying attention to her. Yeah. So the Sackler family, who own Purdue Pharma, so that's been a big thing with they're being sued because of the opioids and everything like that. But one of them, I forget which one of them. There were two brothers, Mortimer, and I forget the other guy's name. Began his career in advertising for pharmaceuticals. He's the one that brought it to the TV station, so to speak. And he made an enormous amount of money with that. And we're the only country on the planet that allows pharmaceuticals to be advertised on television.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. And we consume, I forget the percentage, Tom. We have 5% of the world's population, yet we consume like 90% of the pharmaceuticals.
Plus, it's advertises for hospitals and doctor services.
Everything. And that's what we noticed last night.
It's really not. You should be going to the doctor because you need to go to the doctor. Like he's advertising you for to come in. It's like buying a car. Like
I just can't get over like the side effects. Like you have restless leg syndrome. I mean, they make stuff up. Restless leg syndrome. I think there's medication. They go, your limbs may fall off, and you get depressed and suicidal ideations. I'm like, I'd rather bang my leg.
I know. And it's the same thing. And maybe I'm wrong in this, but it seems like the weather is the same thing. Now we have a snowstorm. It's got to be named. It has to
everything's a cyclone bomb.
Yeah, I know. We didn't do that before, did we?
So my buddy in California, he texted me. He goes, "Hey, how did you survive the cyclone bomb?" Because out here in Jersey, we got like 2 inches, maybe. Right. I said it was more like a muffled fart.
There was a polar, when it gets cold, it's a polar vortex too.
Vortex. I mean, it's just
cold.
Yeah. Now, and I'm not diminishing. I don't want anybody to get all crazy here, but the stealth variant is the new one.
Oh,
so we went from Omicron, which sounds kind of scary, sounds like an old dystopian sci-fi movie, to the stealth variant. And it's called the stealth variant apparently because it's so hard to detect.
So this is a new one. I'm unaware.
Oh yeah, it's the latest one. We're gonna get one every week. Yeah.
Right. So I've decided that here's my new saying for myself. I live in thoroughly blissful ignorance. I just don't pay attention to anything anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
learn stuff from you or wherever somebody's telling me stuff. I sit with my sons. I'm very proud of them. They're very intelligent. They teach me stuff, and I go, I don't know what's going on. I'm clueless.
Well, it's like the old weather. So you hang a piece of string out. If it's wet, it's raining. If
Yeah.
it's got snow on it, it's snowing. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what it is too. Like during the pandemic, I guess because we've locked up so much, I just can't wait to get outside. So on Saturday, we got hit pretty hard by the storm. It was pretty windy. So by like 4 or 5 o'clock, it started settling down a little bit. So I go up my back deck, get all bundled up, get the space heater out there, and sit outside and watch the TV. Yeah.
So
cool.
I love it. I mean, I love, even in this weather, I like to go for a hike or whatever. And to follow up, and I still have to do, I don't want to speak out of line here because I'm not educated on this whole Wim Hof guy we spoke about.
Oh, yeah.
The cold showers. And by the way, I'm able to get up to like 30 seconds now.
30 seconds of the cold shower?
Yeah. So I take the regular warm shower, get all comfy, then I blast it ice cold for 30 seconds.
Oh, man.
But what's weird about it, you get out of the shower, you're not cold.
I know. Yeah.
You know?
No.
So like just now.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say just now it's like 12 degrees. I don't know, 14. I just took Sophie out for a walk with just a t-shirt on.
Yeah. I know.
You know,
I think we get accustomed, like everybody says, when it's cold, so you got to bundle up and everything like that. It's
right.
Like, because I touch this. So we don't get a cold from being cold. A cold is a virus, right?
It's a virus. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a coronavirus actually.
Right. So the cold is a very natural, healthy thing for us.
Yeah, actually, you know, they say you burn more calories in the winter because you're shivering, right. You know, and
yeah, that is the thing we do need to be careful. I mean, we don't want to encourage people to get frostbite or something like that. We're not talking about standard. Yeah.
No, but I mean, so I took her for a walk. It's only a few minutes. I wouldn't go out there in a t-shirt for a couple hours. I mean, you could, but I don't suggest it. But yeah, just kind of, it's here a little bit too, right?
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's more like, and I agree with you. You get that nice warm shower, you sit there for a while, get yourself nice and comfortable, and then you crank up the cold water. It's more like getting out of your comfort zone. It kind of trains you to say, okay, I don't have to do this. I was totally comfortable before, but now I'm going to make myself uncomfortable. Yeah.
Hey, not to change the topic, but I tripped across. It was on Facebook actually. Some hockey thing posted it.
Right.
The prankster Tom Laidlaw. I sent it to Bigby. Yeah.
So I'll set the scene. So I'll go all the way back. So when I first came to the Rangers, Nicky Fotiu was playing here. Right. And Ron Gresham was here, and they were all really good practical jokers. So, and Nicky would have these things like he'd put baby powder in the hair dryer and shaving cream in the towels. And back then we didn't have cell phones. He would put shaving cream on the phone mounted on the wall and everything. And he was pretty good. And he was really good at being kind of stealth about it. And I know I've told the story before, but it was when we were talking about Ted Sater so much, but one of his assistant coaches, Jack Birch, he was the eye in the sky. So Nicky had moved on to get traded, but I was still a team. Now I'm more of a veteran player. So I was putting baby powder in the hair dryers and all that. So I figured, okay, and I would usually do it after the game. But I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to be smart. We've got like 5 hair dryers lined up. I'm going to take one of them and I'm going to do it before the game, put the baby powder in. So I set it all nice and perfect and everything. Not thinking, I'd forgotten because Jack Birch would have his little routine. He'd work out, he'd shower, he'd put a suit on, and he'd put his contact lenses in, and then he would dry his hair as the last thing. This was his routine. So I had forgotten all this, and I really didn't intend to do it. Like part of me is like, if I planned it, I would have liked it even more. But so we've gone out for warm-ups. We're just standing up to go out for the start of the game. So it gets kind of an intense time. You're getting ready. You got to be prepared a whole bit. So I hear the hairdryer come on. Now it was only in one hairdryer, but he happened to grab the hairdryer, put the baby powder in. And all I heard was screaming, Laidlaw, I'm going to kill you. I did it. And the guys were just dying. It was perfect. Again, I'd like to take credit for setting it up. But so that goes down. Then I get straight out to Los Angeles. I continue to do the same stuff. Now it's a whole new team of guys. So they don't know that I'm going to do this stuff. So I've got to get them all done. So the producer from Prime Ticket out there, Bob Borkin, great guy. He gets wind of all the stuff I'm doing. He says, Tom, we got to do a video. So he had me doing like the silhouette, like I was this, criminal the whole bit. And he actually, not because of my acting, but he actually got I think he was up for an Emmy for producing the show. So
it was like a public service announcement. You're trying to prevent kids from following your footsteps and going down a bad path. Yeah.
It's funny. I remember him coming to me to ask me to do it. I said, no, I'm not doing that. He said, Tom, you're great at it. You're great at it. So we got it done. Yes. Well, now it's coming. Every time somebody meets me now, they go online and like the girls' teams that I'm coaching, they love that.
They're looking at that. I remember I was on a bench at the Garden for it was a pregame skate, something practice. And one of the guys, Dale Purin, skated up, and I didn't know he had a whole bunch of snow in his, and he just face washed me, right, with snow. So Joe Devaney, I don't know if you know Joe.
Yeah. Joe he always worked for the visiting team all the time.
So he saw it happen, and a little while later, he says, come here. I go, what's up? He goes, I got him back for you. I go, what'd you do? He went into the changing room and sewed his pockets together on his pants of his suit. So when Dale was trying to get his hands into his suit later on.
Big Larry Playfair did that to me out in LA. I think it was the first time he came back to New York. And, I was all excited being back in New York and a whole bit. It was morning skate, and did that to my pockets. And I was getting in a cab to go back to the hotel. So I'm unaware that my money and my keys or everything are sewed into my pockets. And I don't know this. So the cab driver, he doesn't speak English. He gives me a ride to the airport. Now I can't get in I think he's getting mad. He thinks I'm trying to rip him off because and I can't explain to him what's going on. Like who would have their money sewed into their pockets? Like who would do that? Larry Playfair was good. Practical jokes. He was very.
When I tell Beth these stories, she just looks at me.
I know.
Are you ever going to grow up? I said probably not.
True.
But that was the best D tandem ever. Playfair and Ruff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Playfair and Ruff.
Yeah, that's right. So Doug DeVito, one of our listeners here, what was the worst practical joke you ever saw? I don't know if it was the worst. I've told this story too. I was with the Kings, and Bob Bourne and I were rooming together. And Bob Bourne, actually, I spoke to him the other day. Very good friends with Clark Gillies, so he was pretty upset about that. But we'd being the veteran guys, and we'd done a lot of practical jokes on the guys. So we were in Edmonton one night after a game. We were staying out by the airport, and it was one of those hotels where all the rooms are around like a courtyard in the middle, and the doors to the rooms are all around. So we get back to the room in the morning, and we'd had a couple of adult beverages. I'm ready to go to bed. And the guys had gotten together and taken all of our furniture out of the room, everything, and set it up in the lobby. And perfect too. Like they had the beds were made and everything. It was so I wouldn't call it worse. It was actually very funny.
Oh yeah.
And we'd had enough beverages that we were just going to lay down in bed and fall asleep. But security came around and said, no, you can't do that. So they.
Oh, you guys actually went to bed in the lobby.
Yeah, we were going to.
Nice.
We'd had a few beverages, so we decided, well, we'll just pass out here. So that was one of the best. Man, there's some good ones. Nicky Fatia was really good. Mark Pavlich, who we lost recently. He was trying to get me back after he did something. I was driving a Jeep, and he went and disconnected a whole bunch of the spark plug wires. But I was an idiot. I just kept driving around with like that. He finally, after 2 or 3 days,
better get that looked at.
One of the best, one of the funniest things. Like sometimes, most guys would understand. Okay, it's a joke. Just let it go. James Patrick and I were great friends, and we still are great friends now. But if I would get him somehow, he would get mad at me and wouldn't talk to me for a week sometimes. But then he would come back and apologize to me that he hadn't talked to me for a week, where I was the one that started the whole thing it was a practical joke. So we've joked around with that. And James is actually very funny. Now, I guess I didn't realize that James was on our show on Thursday, and he talks about how Ron Kretzer and I ran the locker room. And that part of the kind of the rite of passage was that we would pick on everybody. And if we didn't pick on you, probably didn't like you. So
didn't like you, yeah. I know when I was on the other side of the river, Kenny Danico came back, and he and I just skated every morning for a while there. Mm-hmm. And at an ungodly hour, thank you, Lou. But anyway, it was, still wooden sticks, and I went out there and we were warming up, and I went to take a wrist shot or just pass the puck or something. And the blade of my stick I'm like, wow, that's weird. It's a new stick. Oh. But who was it? Dave Anerchuk had sawed it through and put clear tape on it. So I know it's an old trick, but he got me good. Yeah.
So that reminds me. So Mike Rogers, we were great friends, great guy.
Good player.
We're trying to get him on the show. So he had one of those old Coho sticks, and they had like red tape wrapped around it, just above the blade. It was like really didn't serve a purpose.
By the hosel, yeah.
Right. So I would go and saw between the red tape, so you really couldn't see it. And it just saw enough that, he grabbed the stick, looked fine. Yeah. Then he'd go. So one day he was in a bad mood. Something had happened. And I saw, I think he only had 3 sticks left. So I saw them all. So he goes out in the ice, and he's sulking already. Goes to shoot, stick breaks. And he's looking at me, and he's mad. He says, and then I think he went and got the second one, and it breaks.
says, if you did this to any more of my sticks, I'm going to get you. So, of course, he gets the third one, it breaks, and he just leaves. He wouldn't even practice, went off. And it was just, and the funniest thing is when those things, I know you know this, but when you do these kind of things, the reaction from the rest of the guys are just dying out there, especially when somebody gets mad like that, like Mike did. So, yes.
Well, the old water bottles, right? Not putting the top on good.
Yeah.
Well, the other one, so when One Pieces came out, they're hollow, so you can put water in them, right?
Yeah.
And you skate up to somebody, go, there's something rattling around in my stick. I can't see it. Can you take a look? And the guy lifts up the stick to look, and he just gets drenched.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Yeah. What's this? Barry Shelley is writing something here. Morning, guys. I made it on late. Not sure if you mentioned this. Did someone prank Mark with the bag when he had the video where he was in the bag and knocked it off the punching bag? Did you knock it off?
Yeah. Well, so the double end bag, the one you hit and it comes back at you, and you kind of. Yeah. So I was doing a video the other day. I don't even know. Oh, just to promote a gym, and I throw a hook, and the back went flying across. It was like, what can I tell you, man? I'm strong.
I like that in the gym too. There's been a few times where you get those sandbags, whatever, you're just doing the slams on the floor. You're just trying to break it. Stupid, right? Like you're like a child.
But we're never going to grow up, and that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Totally.
You know what I did, Tom? Remember I mentioned to you the high reps with the kettlebell?
Yep.
I did it again Saturday, and I got to thinking. So there's a Tabata training, which we're all familiar with, like 20 seconds really intense, 10 seconds off. And then there's burst training where it's kind of same principle mindset, like we're within an 8 to 12 minute period of time, you just crash out a really high intense workout. So I did the 75 swings again the other day after doing some shadow boxing and just skill work. And it's really demanding, and I like it because 75 reps and you're pretty much crushed.
Right.
So when I got to thinking, like, if we could break it up like the burst training, where you do 25 reps, but 3 times. So you do it in the morning, you do it early afternoon, then you do another 25 later in the evening. And you're going to get your 75 reps in.
Right.
And it kind of goes along the way of the Bulgarians, the weightlifters, the Olympic weightlifters. It was their job, but they used to lift all day long. But all they would do is warm up and do 1 or 2 sets of like 1 or 2 reps. As their lifts were really technical, like you had to really be sound with them. Right. But if you take that kind of same mindset, like I know a friend of mine works construction, and every half hour his watch would go off. He'd do 50 push-ups. Oh. And by the end of the day, you did a whole ton of them.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, I'm going to try.
So do you think you get the same results, both aerobically, anaerobically, muscle growth by spreading it out like that, as opposed to doing a 1 hour workout?
Yeah. Well, and again, it all depends what your goals are, what you're trying to get to. You're probably not going to get strength increases tremendous. You'll get some, but it's really demanding on your cardiovascular system. And when you start to hit like the higher reps with the swings, it's all core. I mean, your core just gets jacked.
Yeah, you can't avoid it, right? You have to.
Yeah. Because you're supporting the weight and trying to control it.
Right.
And I like it because it's you're getting your glutes. It's kind of a full body movement.
Yeah. This girls team that I'm helping coach Greenwich High School, we do usually once a week at this combine training, so it's sports specific training. Yeah. And it's really interesting. You can tell the guys are really well trained, the trainers that are working with the girls, and really like having them do things that are like, again, specific to hockey. So they'll have them start, like today, they're doing a drill where they would face a wall, be on both knees, then blow the whistle, have to jump up on basically one leg, your leg you're using to drive off with. So you're still going kind of sideways at first. So it really simulates that skating motion, right? Where you're going that sideways. It's pretty cool watching. So it's doing stuff that really were specific to playing hockey. So good.
Yeah, no, I actually have a really good warm up that I learned this from a martial artist over in Finland, but it's a great warm up for hockey because you're going to move all directions, forward, backwards, and laterally. It's a triangle drill. I'll make a video. I'll send it to you, and if you can figure out how to post it. And then the other one is, that blue pad that we use for physical therapy. It's like about that thick, and it's looks like a base on a baseball field.
Yep.
You put your front leg on that, and you get into a rear lunge position, or I'm sorry, have your leg out, like at 3 o'clock, and you got to maintain that front leg 90, and you tap your foot all the way to 9 o'clock. So it's going behind your body. And man, let me tell you something. You're stabilizing muscle groups, your core, your groins, your glutes. It's really such a very great specific exercise for hockey, for skiing, because you're getting a crossover, cross under, stride, angles all the way through that movement.
Yeah. You know, you talk about the core, and it's one of those things to look back. I didn't even know what the core was when I played.
An apple.
I know. And I concentrate so much on it now. Like I have, like a lot of people probably have bulging discs in my back. And that's basically why I had to retire. For years, it was just, I would always have back problems. Since I started working on my core, and it's nothing. Like, you know, like bending over, putting the shoes on, everything like it used to hurt before. None of that stuff happens.
Well, the thing is, we have a thoracic cavity, and that's between your abs and your low back. And, you know, because we focus so much on the abs because you can see them, that they become too strong for your low back.
Right.
So there's some instability there. So that's why I always say try to make sure we do as much low back work as we do ab work, so that thoracic cavity, there's equal strength in that.
Gotcha. That's good. I like that. So Barry's asking a good question here. So one of the girls on our team, I posted this, and thank you very much for everybody for voting. Peyton, she was up for Player of the Week.
Yeah.
And she didn't ultimately win. Actually, I didn't realize they were cutting off the votes, so I got to it late. I think I posted on Wednesday, and I think on Thursday they were cutting off the votes. But thank you very much, Barry, and everybody else for voting for her. She's a great kid. She's we joke around, we call her the bully because she is. Man, she gets on the ice and it's all about winning, and anybody gets in her way, they're in trouble. So yeah, she's good.
So Barry,
go ahead.
I was going to say, Barry and I, we just had some initial talks, but we're talking about going up next year for an outdoor game.
Yeah.
In Cooperstown.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
I've driven through Cooperstown, but I don't think I've ever stopped there. Yeah.
I've never been there, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
So Peter asked a good question. Hi guys, Tom, who are the toughest forwards for you to play against in your days with the Rangers? If you can name 5 within our division. 5 within the division. All right. Well, I mean, again, remember, I started in the NHL when New York Islanders were winning all their cups. So I could probably name 5 forwards just off the Islanders alone, but I won't do that. I mean, again, not just because you just lost them, but Clark Gillies had to be one of the toughest. And always tough as a physical, like tough player, but also a tough guy to play against. It's funny. I saw a picture the other day, him and I in front of the net, and I just didn't realize how big of a man he was, and a good player too. So that's but they also had Brian Trottier, Mike Bossy, but I'd put Trottier there ahead of Bossy more because he was just more of an all-around player. Bossy was fine defensively, but he was more of a goal scorer. So Trottier. Then I guess Paul Holmgren with Philadelphia was a good player too. People more remember him because how tough he was, but he was really a good player, like Clark Gillies kind of player to play against. They had Mike Gartner was in Washington for a long time. He was a different kind of player, so not tough like that, but man, he could skate, and shoot the puck, and everything. So he was tough to play against. Who else we got then? I'm trying to think who else.
How about a guy that I really enjoyed watching him play? And I don't know, Mike Ballard.
Yeah.
On Pittsburgh.
Yes,
that was pretty talented.
Yeah,
he kind of flew under the radar.
Yeah, and then you mentioned that I forgot about Pittsburgh, so obviously Mario Lemieux was there too, so he's got to go in that category. But yeah, I remember, I'll tell you, our division was the Patrick division, the old Patrick division. Yeah, oh man, every game. That's what I was. We were joking around and telling stories too. And I really meant this when I came to the NHL. I felt like I was going to be one of the toughest players in the NHL. Like I was tough in junior, tough in college, all that kinds of stuff. You get to the NHL. It's just all the toughest of the tough are there. And it was. I remember we were playing up in Boston. It was Stan Jonathan, John Wensick, Terry O'Reilly, Wayne Cashman were there and everything. So yeah, it was
Washington had some pretty. He had Ally Frady, right?
Yes. Yep. And they always had Dwight Schofield. They had was a tough guy. Dwight Schofield. So it is funny talking to those guys now. Because when you played, you felt like those guys really enjoy fighting. Like they really want to hurt you. Well, pretty much every one of those guys didn't enjoy fighting at all.
Right.
Like couldn't you have told me back then that you didn't enjoy fighting?
The old joke. You want to fight my friend? Yeah, sure, I'll fight. Well, there he is. Go fight him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Definitely. All right. So we went through the whole cheat day thing. Yeah, I'm the same way. I never really have a cheat day, but
yeah, I think the other part of it, Tom, is I don't know if I want to say cheat day, but maybe, once in a while, again, like I had the pizza. I didn't plan on it. It just, the circumstances where it was time to eat, and I ate some pizza and I was fine for it.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it was good pizza too.
That is good too. You like the thin crust pizza? Is that what you like?
Yeah, either or. I like the thin or I like regular. The crust is the most important part of the pizza.
Yeah, it is too, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I make my own crust and everything. I ventured out a few months ago, made shrimp pizza. It's good. Good shrimp on it. It's nice. Very good.
Did you ever have the cauliflower pizza? Like the crust?
I haven't had that. I haven't. I get
it's really good. It's hard to tell the difference, to be honest with you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. All right, everybody. This is Mark Pottenvik again. His company is called Patriot Training Systems. If you want to get a hold of me, go to his website. He can train anybody. Does a lot of work with military personnel. A good friend of mine now, taught me a lot of stuff that I felt like I knew everything before. I can't get over. I keep going back to this, but this process of coaching the girls has been fantastic. More because it makes me think back to how I was as a teenager, and then me coaching teenager boys. We just didn't listen to anything. No. If there's one thing I could teach young boys in that teenage years, is how to learn more. Like these girls, just they soak it up. They want to learn all the time. They're very appreciative of everything. But we're all boys. I think pretty much every boy is a teenager just doesn't want to listen to anybody. But
there was a travel team I was coaching, Tom. It literally was 30 plus years ago. But I remember the kid's name, Earl Morrison. Oh, yeah. So we're at the end of practice. You know how you always say PK, PP for the end. And we're setting up, and I want him on the half wall, this, that, and the other thing. Explain the whole thing. Throw a puck in the corner, and then he and this other guy just do something completely different. And I blow the whistle. I go, what are you doing, guys? Oh, we have our own play. I'm like, all right. Yeah. Earl Morrison.
That's funny. You can remember one guy. The guy I remember, I'm still friends with him today, is Max Como. His father worked at Wall Street. Max served in the military for a while, and he's out now and actually starting a business. He's living up in Colorado, married, child, a whole bit, but great kid. He just was like always getting in trouble more because he was defending his teammates. So I loved him for that. I didn't like that he was getting in trouble. I think I told you a story. We had the rule where he had 5 penalties, you get kicked out of the game.
Right. Yeah.
So one time he got the 3 or 4 penalties. I said, Max, you got to sit down. You're going to throw it out again. And so he's on the bench. The referee's coming by. He takes his glove off his hand, puts it on top of his stick, and points the middle finger up on the glove. And then he shoves the stick in the glove right in front of the referee's face when he's coming by. Oh, the referee looked up at me and he started dying laughing, and I was laughing. He threw him out of the game. And I said, you got to throw him out. I don't blame him a bit. But we were both like to think of that, to do it and think about it. It was just hilarious. So the poor kid sees the referee and the coach laughing about it, but he gets thrown out of the game. So
before we wrap it up, I can tell you one of the funniest things a referee ever said to me, but what would be one of the funnier things that a ref said to you?
There'd be a couple of things. There's playing a game in Toronto. I had been teammates with Mark Osborne, and he was now in Toronto. And Eddie Olchuk, who's more famous now for broadcasting. So they're both playing in Toronto, both real honest guys too. Mark was very religious in the whole bit. Yeah. And Ray Scampanello, we had to play, I think the puck went over the glass or something. So I'm arguing our side of it. Osborne and Olchuk are arguing their side of it. And Scampanello is so funny. He looks over at me. He says, Tommy, what happened? So I told him what happened. He says, this is what Tommy says. He doesn't lie. That's it. And he skates away. And I'll look on Olchuk and Osborne. They're looking like, what the heck is that? Well, so that was one of the funniest scenes I can remember, but there was a few times.
I was coaching college hockey up here in New York, and I forget, the referee missed so when you get a penalty, you're supposed to change. You can't change up the guys, right? And they changed. I called him up and say, respectfully, they changed, and they took a penalty. He goes, there's a lot of rules to this game. I said, yeah, there are.
That's kind of funny. It's a good way of saying it, because what are you going to say to him after that?
He knew he made a mistake, and I wasn't like being pissed off. I just said, hey, he goes, there's a lot of rules to this game.
That's fun. That's a good one. I like that. That's very good. Yeah. All right, everybody. Mark, good to see you again. We'll see you again next Monday at 11:30.
Yes, sir.
See you, bud.
And then after that, I head off to Wisconsin.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right, too. Excellent.